Hey. All right, cool,
Forward
Drew. Thanks
to
for being
speaking
here.
with him. You can't hear me again?
Hello?
Drew?
Oh, what is this?
Yeah, I mean,
we can hear you now. This happened last night too.
Am I back?
Yeah.
I don't know what that dude. That happened last night with the intro too. As soon as we came back, my mic was out. I don't know. But anyway, I was enthusiastically saying, there's another episode of The Watchers. Drew and JC are here. And I don't want to experience any more of that.
Go ahead and introduce yourself. I'll take over. Drew, you're going to have to text a voice or something.
This is why AI is winning.
Yes. My coworker often chides me for any use of AI. So, to introduce myself, my name is Matt Anderson. I am the owner of Key13Films, a small film production company in Maryland. Produced quite a few feature films, 3 of which are out now. Serious Profession and Anna Key, both available on DVD, and we're working on getting them onto streaming. Also, our George A. Romero's Resident Evil documentary, which is currently streaming on multiple platforms. And we have a couple films in post-production, and we are gearing up for our next film, Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. We've been in existence for about, going on 7 years now. And it's been crazy and wild and fun and frustrating and all those adjectives, plus a bunch more that probably would take up half the show. So I'll stop right there.
Yeah, right on, man. I was perusing your website earlier, and I always like to do the research before we jump on with somebody. And I had no idea when I had first reached out to you that you guys were involved with the Romero documentary. And
we actually produced that. It was brought to us by the director, Brandon Salisbury. He had this vision. He wanted to tell this story. It's a story that was very dear to him. He's a very big fan of the late George A. Romero. And so when he pitched the idea, I enjoy George's movies. I enjoyed the Resident Evil franchise, the video games, of course. I was living in Japan, so I played Biohazard instead of Resident Evil. And I did like the first Resident Evil movies, and the second one, third one kind of shied me away from the rest of it. But it was an interesting story. There was a lot of stuff in it I didn't know about. And, it did make sense that George Romero should have brought Resident Evil into the theaters, but due to things that, as we discovered as we did the documentary, it just didn't happen. So, Brandon wanted to tell the story. I was smart enough to say, I like this story, let's tell it. And then he brought on Tom Romanol, who was our cinematographer and who just did a fantastic job. And, it was our first big wide release project. I'm very proud of it, very happy to have it out there, and working on getting the rest of my films out there as well.
I can't even remember how many months ago I had read about this documentary on a website called Joe Blow. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's where I get all my movie stuff, like news wise. And so this has been a project I've had my eyes on for a while. I have not been able to watch it yet. I haven't had the opportunity, but I have been like very anxiously awaiting uh, having the time to watch it. So like I'm pumped. It looks amazing.
Oh, it visually, it's just absolutely stunning, and yeah, it's definitely a watch. You definitely need to carve out a couple hours to watch this movie, but it's definitely informative. You get a lot of insider stuff. You get a lot of history as well. So it's really just a very in-depth look, not only at the reason why the Resident Evil movie didn't get made, but all the circumstances leading up to it and the what happened afterwards. So it's a really compelling watch. So definitely set aside some time, sit down, watch it. I think you will be quite happy with the results. And yes, Tom Romanol, his eye is fantastic, and it just looks great. And Brandon and Tom work very well together. They're working on other projects together, so um, I'm really looking forward to see what they come up with next. And I really hope that more people watch it. It's now available for free on YouTube, or you can still rent it from various other platforms. Please, spread the word, take the time, watch it, get the word out, and hopefully, we can bring more people into that world and to learn more about it.
Yeah, it looks like it's Prime Video, Apple TV, Fandango are the three that are listed on your site.
Yes.
So yeah, everybody check that out. We grew up maybe 20 minutes from Evans City, maybe 40 minutes from Monroeville. So for pretty much our entire lives, Romero has just been like a god to us. Uh, and I've migrated a little farther. Let's see, east in Pennsylvania. And one thing that I always like to this day when I'm watching Dawn of the Dead, and they make that comment about how the rednecks in Johnstown must be loving this. Like that still resonates with me because I don't live that far away from Johnstown now, and it couldn't have been like to this day a more accurate like quip about the people of Johnstown. So it's just like he's just so timeless, and I don't know if it's because I grew up in the area or not, but yeah, that's one project here that I'm like frothing at the mouth to watch for sure.
Yeah, no, it's George meant a lot to a lot of people. And while I was a fan of obviously the Living Dead movies, I believe I've seen them all except for Diary of the Dead, which that's one I haven't pulled off my shelf yet. Um, you know, Part of the reason why I wanted to do this documentary is because I knew of George's work, but I didn't really know much about him. I'm more of a science fiction kind of guy. I do love my horror, but so what part of what intrigued me about this is learning more about George, learning more about his influence on the zombie genre, as well as my love for the Resident Evil games. So again, it was just the perfect blend of two things that one I was interested in and enjoyed, and one I loved. And for Brandon, he loved them both. So it just was perfect.
Yeah, you know what, man? I have a love-hate relationship with that first Resident Evil game. But I had it on Sega Saturn, and I could not get through that game at all. Like it was so difficult trying to like scroll through that. It was so blocky, and I just got frustrated. But
First mistake was getting the Sega Saturn version.
right.
Oh, whoa. I got a Sega Saturn. Dude, I got two Sega Saturns, all right? and I got the actual Sega Saturn, and I got a V Saturn, which was made by another company. I was living in Japan at the time, so Sega Saturn was like my first big console. And then I got the PlayStation, the PS1, also while I was living in Japan. So I love the Sega Saturn. I think Sega. I think Sega kind of dropped the ball on a lot of things, and it's a shame because like Atari, those were the gaming systems of my youth. I never had a Nintendo. I had friends that had it, but for me, it was Sega and it was Atari. And my brand loyalty to them still remains. So I will forever say that the Saturn and the Dreamcast never really got a fair shot.
Man,
Dreamcast is severely underrated. I do agree there. There's a lot of great games on there.
That they innovated. Like Sega, I think it was the Saturn was the first one where you could actually jump on like online and play interactively with other people.
I think so. Of course, for me, when I got my Sega Saturn, I also got Virtua Cop, and I got the light guns that went with it. So I spent hours playing. Excuse me. I spent hours playing on my Sega Saturn Virtua Cop, and it was just like the arcade. It was that good, and I actually enjoyed some of the work on some of the graphics on the Saturn a little bit more than I did on the PS1. But the PS1 also had a lot of awesome things going for it. So, I hedged my bets, so to speak, and I bought both, and I have Japanese versions of games for both systems, and once in a while I'll go down to the man cave and plug them in and have a big old wave of nostalgia.
The problem with the Saturn was that it wasn't really built to handle, like, its technical architecture wasn't built for 3D. It was built for 2D, so it excelled immensely at 2D and 2.5D, but some of the 3D games weren't that great. But they're still good. There were still good 3D games on it, not saying that. But my favorite scene out of that first Resident Evil game is when you see the first zombie biting into the person laying on the floor when you go into that hallway and in that room. When I was a kid and I saw that, I couldn't eat spaghetti for like 3 months after that. So like I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I was like, well, that ruins spaghetti for me now.
It's a weird texture thing to happen from that.
I don't know. It just like I've played it since, and I'm like, it doesn't even look like spaghetti. Like, why did I have such an aversion to spaghetti because of that? I don't know.
But Nemesis was my favorite of the Resident Evils, and I honestly didn't play a lot after those ones. Like I really liked Nemesis a lot.
3 is king.
I'm gonna have to give the other ones a shot sometime, but set up in Maryland with the filmmaking, or
I'm sorry, you froze up, and
you're cutting out, Drew.
Part of the question.
I'm
so sorry.
No, you're good. I don't understand why I'm having issues. Am I good now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but your video's frozen. I think it's your internet.
Probably. I'm on Wi-Fi right now. I need to get an Ethernet cord for this Mac that I'm running. But all right. But if you can hear me, I was asking, like, you guys are out of Maryland, right?
Yes.
Have you always been in Maryland filming, or is that something like you kind of settled in after?
Okay. There he is. All right. Well, in answer to your question, I've always been filming in Maryland. Matter of fact, that's where I got my start. I'm not a native Marylander. I'm actually a transplant from the West Coast. I came here when I was in the Air Force back in 1990. and was here for 5 years, and then went to Japan for 7 years, and then came back and pretty much just settled here. And I also run a photography studio, so a little very small one. And it was actually because of the photography that I met this model who had a show called Behind the Set, and she was doing an interview with the cast and crew of a movie. So I went there, and they needed a cameraman, so I stepped up, volunteered. That was, it was my very first film. That was uh, 6, 7, 8, about 8 years ago or so. And I worked on a couple of films, and then I just said, I've got some stories I want to tell, some of which I've been holding on for years. And I like Maryland. The area that I'm in is a place called Frederick, and it's a very artsy community out here. So, and it's a good hub town because just about everything, Baltimore, DC, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, so many places are within an hour of travel. So Maryland just became my de facto home, and it's where I've done all my work. And I filmed in West Virginia and in Pennsylvania, and haven't done anything in DC yet, but that's going to come at some point. And I just really like it out here. There's a really huge film community out here, but this area never really gets much attention like Atlanta or New York or LA or anything like that, because there is no real industry here. A lot of films, any films that are made here, they come in, they do their bit, and then they go back to where they came from. House of Cards, big DC show. They filmed at a place called Joppa, Maryland, and that's where they filmed a lot of the stuff. And then once the show ended, they packed up and went home. So the indie community out here is massive. There are so many talented people, actors and cinematographers and directors and writers and all that, I really wish that we, in this area, the DMV as we call it, could get a lot more people to see what we can produce. And like the Resident Evil, that was done in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, and you would never know it. You'd think that this was a big, this was made out in Hollywood or something. So there's a lot of talent out here, and I would love to see like bigger companies in some ways, not in other ways, because it's nice being free of that kind of influence. People out here, most of us aren't making sequels. We're making original content, original stories that a lot of the big production companies just seem to shy away from. And I think that's part of what makes this area so wonderful. So I know it's a bit of a long answer to your question, but I love Maryland. I've been filming here, and I will probably film here until the day I decide that I'm done making movies, which will probably be when I'm on my deathbed, to be honest.
Really? Let's see. Am I still here? Oh, okay, cool. I live maybe an hour away from Maryland. I'm pretty close to Cumberland.
Okay, yeah, I know that.
And you're right. Pretty much in every direction, I know somebody who is an amazing filmmaker. Like, so we have like Cumberland's this way, and then over here is kind of Lancaster, and of course, Mike Lombardo is out there in Lancaster making movies. So it's just like this, like you said, this great area where all of these indie workers are just coming together and cultivating a scene. And uh, I noticed one of your short films has an actress that was in our most recent production, and she's popping up in like everybody's movies that we've been talking to. And so, like, even like just the workers and actresses and PAs and stuff, it's just it's it's nice to be part of a community that looks after itself and isn't toxic or anything of that nature.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I will say is majority of the community. I mean, there's always those outliers that, you know, eh, and at least here, it's not like, oh well, let's see what we can do to f that guy or f that girl. We'll just choose not to work with people. There's people I know who won't work with me, and because of the way I do things, that's perfectly fine. And I don't wish them any ill will. I'm assuming they don't wish me any ill will. But there's just too much drama in this world right now, and that's one thing I like to stay out of as much as possible. People will tell me something. Oh, did you see what this person did? I'm like, no. I have no interest in whatever they did, because is it affecting me? Is it are they saying anything about me? No. Okay, well then that's on them. Let them have their drama. I'm staying over here drama free. But I'm curious, who's the actress?
I'm terrified I'm going to say her name wrong, but Shonda Rawlings.
Oh yeah, Shonda. Oh, I love her.
Yeah, she's great.
Oh, she is absolutely wonderful. She did One Last Toast, and she's actually in our film Heavy Duty Man, that is still in post production, unfortunately, due to some issues that I'm not going to really go into. But when that movie is finished, and once it comes out, you're going to see her. There's a bit in that movie where it is the funniest thing I have ever seen anybody do. And it's just absolutely wonderful. And Shonda just swung for the fences and made it. So, yeah, definitely. I love her. I think she is awesome. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to work with her again, but she is so busy. Um, if Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death does not get funded, then then I'll be looking at trying to find a project that I can work with her again on, because I just absolutely adored it.
Yeah, no, she's awesome. But so, what was your inspiration to actually start telling stories through cinema? Everybody kind of has that moment where they're the first time they saw Jaws, or the first time they saw a Wes Craven movie, or like, so like, kind of what was your inspiration to start doing this?
Okay, well, you're gonna. It starts back when I was 7 years old, and I just got it in my head that I wanted to be a novelist. And I started writing my first story when I was 7, about a school on the moon, because I was 7 years old, and what else did I know about in life? Um, I was a voracious reader, so I figured, I could do this. And I spent, pretty much from that point till I joined the military. And even after I joined the military, I was writing stories. I did have this dream of becoming this great big novelist. And then I got married, and I had kids, and just life took over. I was in the military, and had that, and so I kind of stopped writing for the longest time. I still had my ideas. I'd still work them in my head, but I just didn't really have any ability or time to exercise that part of my brain. And then about a little after 2001, right after 9/11, I decided that I wanted to start writing reviews of movies in order to kind of maybe hopefully share the great cultures of the different world and the different kinds of movies. So I started writing reviews. Excuse me, writing reviews. And I tell you, a lot of people don't realize, but when you have to write a review, there's a lot more than just saying, "Oh, this movie sucks," and the it's terrible. Why is it terrible? What are the elements in a film that makes it good or bad, or so bad it's good, or just so bad it's bad? And doing that as I was writing these reviews, and I was actually doing very well at it because I still had my writing. I had much better writing talent than when I was trying to be a novelist, which my dialogue was often trite and all that stuff. But I learned not only analysis, and also I have to thank my mom a lot because she introduced me to other movies than sci-fi. She introduced me to the classics, Slaughterhouse-Five, Lilies of the Field, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, and so many others. And so, I loved movies and I loved learning about movies. And then when I was writing reviews, I learned about structure and timing and pacing and how what makes a movie cohesive. And so then that desire came back to start writing my stories, but then some other things happened, and again I had to stop writing the reviews because life gets in the way and you got to take care of family first. And then a few years later, when I started doing, I did the photography. That was a big creative outlet for me, and it's all about visuals. With that, you got to tell a story in one photograph. A pretty girl in a photograph is a pretty girl in a photograph. It works. It's nice, but there's got to be more to it. You got to find out, what you got to tell some sort of story or emotion or something from that. And so that, and then wind up working on the independent film through helping this model that I worked with who had the show. It kind of rekindled that desire. So I wrote Hoodie, which was the very first thing that we did as Key13Films. And I wrote it, and I had a couple of friends who came in with me on the company. Unfortunately, they're no longer part of the company due to personal things that they had to deal with, and of course, COVID didn't help matters. But they gave me the good advice. They read my stuff and they gave me the honest but constructive feedback that a lot of people don't get. A lot of people, unfortunately, have people that will blow smoke up their ass and won't give them honest, good, constructive feedback. But I had people who did. And so, like Hoodie, when I wrote it, it was like, okay, the main character here, he's too racist. You need to tone it back. And not because we were trying not to offend people, just because it was almost cartoonish. And so we made him the worst kind, the one who says that he's doing it for the community, that masks his racism and altruism, which it wasn't there. So because I had that, and people really responded to it, I said, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. And then Serious Profession really struck a chord and a key. And from then we were off and running, and now we have These Things, Heavy Duty Man, which I did not write, but I came up with the idea. That was Tom Toohey, who wrote and directed Heavy Duty Man. And then we just finished filming Following and Quattro. and we're trying to figure out. Hopefully, we can get Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death funded. But it's just all these things from 7 years old to now just kind of just came organically. It just this led to this, to led to this, led to this, and now I'm telling the stories that I want to tell, and got about 20 scripts ready to go, and um, unfortunately, I don't have the money to make them all. I wish I did, but it's just it's there's nothing I enjoy more than writing a story. If I had to do anything, just one thing, it would be to write because I love it.
I enjoy writing too. I mean, I write all of this stuff that we do, but it's funny because I try so hard to get into writing a manuscript or a novel, and I just find myself unable to do it because my writing style is like 100% geared toward script writing. Like the way that I'm visualizing the story in my head, I'm visualizing it from that the medium of cinema, and nothing I ever write in a not like no novel, novella, short story, nothing ever like is cohesive in my opinion. I always throw it away because just like the way I I just think when I'm writing, it's just like always geared toward visual storytelling. Like the first screenplay that I wrote, I was in second grade, and it was a sequel to Predator, and it was before I knew any of like the concepts of what script writing was or any of the formatting or anything like that. But like I remember like I wrote it almost like readers weekly, like a weekly reader. I don't know if you had those in school or not, but we had them. And when you'd have like a weekly reader that had maybe like an excerpt of a play or something, so it was kind of like how I ended up doing that. And then from there, I just never stopped writing screenplays. So it's really difficult for me to put myself into that mind frame to write like that. But um, so I mean, that's cool that you started like that and kind of worked your way into film, because it's kind of almost like the opposite, like left brain, right brain, or whatever. But Hoodie, I wanted to talk about because after I was perusing your site and doing the research, I found Hoodie on your YouTube, and it had I think both parts are in the same upload, right? It's like part 1 and 2, and it's like 30 minutes long, like 35 minutes or something like that. I started watching it, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. Act 1 and 2, not parts. But um, you seem to have a lot of shorts that you have featured versus kind of like features. Now, is that because of necessity, where it's easier to do short film, or is that just a form of storytelling that you are like maybe into or drawn to? Like,
Well, to be honest, the original plan for Key 13, and then later our Cinephoto, which is more of our grindhousey stuff. The original plan was to do a feature film and a short film every year. And we started off with short films just so that we could kind of cut our teeth on the logistics and the mechanics of filmmaking. Because while we had some experience, we were still learning and still in that learning phase. Um, the reason why we have more shorts than we do the features is because a lot of things happen. So when we started Key 13, there were three of us, and then we brought on a fourth. But then COVID came along and really stymied a lot of our plans. And then I started losing people because of COVID related issues and other things. So where originally it was supposed to be, I would write, one would write, one would direct, and one would edit. I wound up being writer, director, and editor, and I was, just really not that well versed in editing at that point. So a lot of the responsibility, or not a lot, all of the responsibility fell upon my shoulders. So I had, you know, 2 films in the can, and I had no support to help get them completed. That was Serious Profession and Anarchy. So with Serious Profession and Anarchy, I basically had to learn how to edit a movie at the same time that I'd already committed to other things. Um, so the short films, yeah, are much easier to film. Those are usually done in a weekend. You know, I still try to do 1 short film a year, just so that I don't let my skills atrophy, so to speak. But you know, it was never my intention to be, you know, only 3, you know, out of 6 films we've done, only half of them have been released. And that is something that I'm working on right now. And it's just very difficult at times to be a one-man band. And there's just, you know, nobody else that can help, because the people that would do, you know, that I know that can edit it, they are going to want to get paid for their work, and they should get paid because they do outstanding work. And I just don't have the budget to do that. So, you know, it falls upon me, and if, you know, no one else is able to do it, then I got to do it. And, you know, I've had to learn some lessons the hard way. And so, you know, if Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death does not get funded, you know, I'm pretty much just clearing my slate until I get everything that is in post-production completed and released. And even if that means not making a short film next year, I mean, that's what might happen. Um, you know, I'm not happy with that idea, but, you know, I got to do what's best for not only the company, but for all the people who put their time and effort into getting all these films made. And, you know, I owe it to them to get their work out there in the world so that they can see it. So it really wasn't a necessarily a choice to have more short films that released than feature films. It's just the way things worked out, and some hard lessons learned. But you know, I'm very proud of the short films that have been put out. You know, and I want to get these feature films done so that we can get those out, so we can really show all the amazing work from all the amazing people that I've been fortunate enough to have as part of the Key 13 family.
Yeah, right on, man. Again, though, that's like one of those things with the independent scene. You can hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
JC? Okay, cool. I don't know. For some reason, it felt like I dipped out. Again, with that independent scene, though, like, there's so many of us who are just willing to work for pizza or cheese sandwiches and the credits of you know, that film that we work on, that, you know, there are people that you can count on and rely on. And then, like you said, like you putting in all that effort to make sure that everybody's hard work goes noticed and not unnoticed.
Yeah.
It's just a wild scene, and there's so many of us just love the art, and we'll come together and just do the most uncomfortable things just for the fun of it. I like short films. I enjoy watching them. Technically, the movies we've made would fall under the category of short films. The first one we did is called Of Dice and Men. We filmed it when we were kids, high schoolish, and we did it. It was a mini DV camera with no mics or anything like that. We just filmed it. We did it over the course of a weekend. The entire budget was the price of a watermelon that we used for Head Smash. And that's the movie. And we finally, all these years later, we did the sequel of Dice and Men 2. We filmed that last year. It's finally just now going to be coming out here soon. But The first one was 43 minutes. This one, it would probably be about 43 minutes, but we tacked on all of the deleted scenes on the back end of it just to kind of give it, like a full hour, 20-minute time run on it. So, like, we kind of faked it a little bit. So, like, the actual storytelling is probably about 43 minutes. So, and then we also have cop drama. So I've done three short films that are out or in the process of being released. I haven't actually hit that feature yet. So I absolutely relate to like cutting your teeth on short films, and I'm ready to start the next one, and I think it's going to be a feature. We have so many good ideas for it, but just based on title alone, a movie that I would absolutely watch is your Sexy Sorority Sisters. So I want to learn more about the concept of this movie, the plot, what you have going on for it. Because if I'm in a video store or if I'm streaming to be more current with it, that's the movie, that's the flick that I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna pop that on before I watch Transformers or anything. So let's learn about this one.
Okay, so Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. The funny thing about it is originally it was just a throwaway line in a proof of concept trailer that we were doing for Heavy Duty Man. We wanted it to kind of sound grindhousey, so we did from Cinefoto Studios, makers of Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. And when we did that, it was one of those ideas that just never quite left. And I'm a big fan of the satanic panic movies of the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
I also love the exploitive nature of those movies, blood, boobs, and butts. And then I also like the feminist wave of the 90s when the heroine stopped being just the screaming girl and started fighting back, Dream Warriors, and then later on, like, Nev Campbell and Scream, those sort of things. So, Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death is kind of a fusion of those three: Satanic Panic of the 70s, traditional slasher and sorority slashers of the 80s, feminist wave of the 90s, wrapped up with some Asian cinema influences and a healthy dose of LGBTQ and queer characters, all wrapped up in a very exploitive but yet still empowering kind of film. And the basic plot's very simple. It's about these two girls, Emma and Carla, who wind up rushing the big female sorority on the campus of their college because their friend Shauna is doing it. And though it doesn't take long for them to find out that it's actually a coven of witches, and they are the pledges. The reason why nobody ever, survives Pledge Week is because they all get sacrificed to Asmodeus or Asmodeus, and so this, the Emma and Carla and those who survive, whoever they may be, have to basically try to make it through the ritual before Olivia manages to take her power, to take control and complete what she has to in service of Asmodeus. So, it's just going to have so much stuff, and it's definitely one of those kind of, if we still had video stores, you'd go and you'd see it on Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death with beautiful women on the cover. You're going to be like, yeah, I'm grabbing that bad boy. And we have a huge cast a lot of established horror scream queens like Jessa Jupiter Flux, Alice Winkler, Mel Heflin, Penny Aphrodite, and a whole bunch of others, especially some up and coming folks like Amber Brook, and there's Kelsey Livengood, and I mean, and there's some new people that I've never worked with, but again, there's just so much talent in this area and in the DMV or the four state area, that we just got this great mix of established stars and some relative newcomers, either to the area or to movies in general. It's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of blood and a lot of people would call salacious content, and it's definitely got a little bit of something for everybody. And we got some pretty inventive kills, and I know just about every horror filmmaker says that. Uh, but I think in this case, that is going to be the case. I do believe that we've got some stuff that either you haven't seen before, or it's stuff that you're going to sit there and go, "Oh, I know where that influence came from." And so, this is really going to be this is the biggest project that my company has taken on, and we are doing a all or nothing campaign. So, we're trying to get the word out. We're trying to share the the Instagram page and the Facebook page. We have a TikTok, but TikTok's more about memes than necessarily pushing out content, announcements and things like that. But we have that, and it's all right. It does all right, and if we don't make the money, we're all really hoping. I mean, I've got the total support of the entire cast. Everyone's really hoping this thing gets made, but we're not going to skimp. We're not going to cut corners. We're not going to sacrifice quality for just getting something made. We're either going to do it right or we're just not going to do it. And this is kind of a philosophy that has developed over the last 6-7 years. That I've had to compromise on far too many things. I'm not doing that anymore. It's either come on board 100% or I go do something else.
Yeah, and some people might be put off by that, but you really at some point have to kind of take that stance when you're trying to have a film made. I mean, it's fun to do. It's amazingly fun and just like a rad hobby to some people, but like a lot of people I think don't quite understand this is serious business too. So, I mean, I get that 100%. Even in our tiny little butthead productions, like I have him, and then I have some other guys that I have, as partners. I guess we use that term
loosely.
Oh man, do I go? I've known these guys for 25 years, and they're all my best friends. But I would fist fight them over some of the arguments that we had with the last movie when it came down to the editing process. Man, I was heated. I was fuming. So like, I completely understand that because like if I want to punch my best friend in the face over some like a scene that is not even in the movie anymore, like I could totally get when when you say that, like how important it is to you just to make sure you're doing things the right way.
Yeah, it is very important. And you have a vision, and it is easy, and I've done it, so I'm guilty of it, of, oh, I see your vision, but I think my vision would be better. And the truth is, your vision is your vision. If you can execute your vision, then great. If you can't, how do you either figure it out, or do you sit there and go, okay, I can't execute the vision in the way that I want it, so I'm going to have to step back. And that's kind of the philosophy that I have with Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. I have a vision, and fortunately, our cinematographer Donald Robinson, who we just announced the other day, he is that guy that can bring that vision to life. So, um, I've already got the vision. I've got the cast that I wanted. I've got the cinematographer that I want. And in order to make sure I get the quality that I'm looking for, I want to make sure that I can, get that quality. And yeah, I mean, there are lots of people out there that are very talented who will do it for the price of a pizza, or heck, I funded Hoodie from with chicken planks from Long John Silver's. That's how everybody got paid on that movie. Um, None of them had Long John Silver's chicken planks. I couldn't believe it. So I went and I bought a 30 pack and brought it there, and everyone just chowed down on it.
I would totally be in just for the little crispies that
Yes.
end up at like the bottom. Like those are the best part, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So but when you start making films like Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death, I mean, it's there's a lot of cost involved, and even if I had a completely volunteer force, there's still costs going to be involved: locations, transportation, lodging, and there as many people that will want to help. There comes to a point where it becomes cost prohibitive, and you're spending more money than you're getting out of it. And so again, because of all the things, because of the vision, and because of the large cast, there's just, we could do it on the cheap, but it won't match the vision that I have. And so I would rather just not do it at all than skimp and make a movie that over promises and under delivers. I've done that enough with some other things. I'm not doing that with Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death. So, I totally get. Some people may think I'm crazy for doing an all or nothing. They're not necessarily wrong, and there's some people who say you should be able to do this with just your friends and a few others. And yeah, I mean, if it was a smaller film, if I wrote it differently, probably, but not the film that I wrote. And so, I'm just gonna have to. I'm swinging for the fences here, and either I'm gonna be Babe Ruth and knock it over the fence, or I'm going to be like every other, AAA ball player and never getting to the big show. But whatever it's going to be, I'm committed. I'm committed to this, and so is everyone else, and everybody involved understands this may not happen, and they're all going to be incredibly disappointed if that's the case, and I will be disappointed too. But either I'm not doing enough to get the word out, or just something just didn't hit the way that I thought it would. I mean, everybody is really interested in it, but being interested in it and supporting it are unfortunately two very different things.
Yeah, absolutely. We've never had any luck with crowdfunding at all. Like
it's a lot of work, and I mean, yeah, a lot of work. I mean, that's the reason why that I've been promoting Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death for almost 2 months now, and I have been reaching out, and I have taken every single trick that I have learned from every crowdfunder I've ever done, from every crowdfunder I've seen that's been successful, and every crowdfunder that I've seen that has not been successful. And I'm applying all that now, and I have no idea if all this work, all this time and effort I've put into it. And again, I'm a one-man shop, so I'm having to juggle multiple things just to try to get this thing done. Um, you know, I don't know if it's all worth it. We'll find out when we launch the campaign. If we, trend, if we can hit #1 or top 3 trending the first day, then I think we got a shot. And if not, then we got 60 days to try to figure out what we're doing wrong and hopefully do it better. Crowdfunding is very up and down, and what I have found is you either have to have a really high standard of quality of a proven ability to deliver, or you have to have an idea that is so different than all the other ideas out there. I think Sexy Sorority Sisters of Death is that idea that I think it's different than anything else that's come out there, at least in a while. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be people that are going to argue that point. But I think that we have a concept, and I think the stuff that I've released so far on Instagram and on our page and stuff kind of shows the vision that we're trying to do. So, the hardest thing about crowdfunding is just the time. It's just such a time suck. And if you're not practically doing something every day and consistently releasing information and promotions and trying and doing it in ways that that'll attract people to look at it more than 6 seconds. If you can do that, then you may have a shot at it. But you just don't know until the day you launch your campaign and see how much money you can rake in. I've had some that have been very successful, and I've some that have fallen flat on their butt. So I feel you, man. I'm right there with you. If you can still keep making your stuff without having to crowdfund, hey, more power to you, because it sucks at times. It really does.
Yeah, well, we're as guerrilla as it gets. The last movie, I mean, we're the guys out here using iPhones and, getting like pretty decent quality stuff. I mean, it's not like 28 years later was just shot completely on iPhone. It's not like a ludicrous thing at all to use that. But yeah, we're out here with iPhones. We're running from cops. It's it's as guerrilla gets, man, and that's part of the fun. But I would love to just one day not have to worry about that. Like, are we going to be able to get this shot before local 50 comes up and decides that they're going to disrupt it? But when are you launching the campaign so people know to look for it?
Well, I don't know when this video is going to go out, so it would probably the plan is for tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay. Been working on the pitch video, and the funny thing is, I'm very good. When I'm doing an interview like this and I'm interacting with folks like you, it's very easy for me to talk about it. But when you plunk a camera in front of me and expect me to just talk to the camera, it is just the hardest thing for me. I don't know why. I've got some sort of mental hang up about it. So yeah, so the plan is to launch it tomorrow, hopefully with an interesting crowdfunding video, because that does help. But again, I think we have an idea and a cast that will really draw people in and really want to support this. And so that's what I'm going for.
Well, Jessa alone, man, she is in everything right now on that level. And Donald Farmer too, like, she's in so many of his recent movies. Is like, she's nonstop working, and she's got a huge following. So yeah, I think even just with her attached, you should be able to, get a lot of eyes on it.
Yeah, I hope so. And Jessa is just the consummate professional. She was actually auditioned for another film, and unfortunately, at the time, I just could not um, meet her requirements, and that's totally on me because she was absolutely killed it in the audition, and the person who did get the role also killed it in the audition, so it was an even tougher choice. I'm the one to work with her for a while, and now, and I gave her the script to Sexy Sorority Sisters to Death because the very first name that was, when I wrote it, the very first name that came up when people read about Olivia was just a Jupiter Flux. And so the minute so I sent it to her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm in." And I was like, "Oh my God, I am so thrilled." She is, she just is a phenomenal actor. She's one of the busiest people, like Mel Heflin and Alice Winkler. I mean, the three of them are, excuse me, constantly just on the go with so many different projects. So, I think just those three alone uh, will help get those eyes on it. But there's a lot of other great people on the cast that have their own followings, as I'm learning. And so I think, excuse me, I think between the bigger names that we have and the other folks that we have, all of them fantastic actors, I really think we're going to. I firmly believe that this has every opportunity, every chance to succeed. And I'm really looking forward to launching tomorrow and, just hopefully seeing that outpouring of support.
Absolutely. So anybody listening, by the time this video goes up next week, this campaign will have been launched. The link will be in our show notes. Definitely check it out, support it. Independent film needs the support from the people. That's why crowdfunding is so important. This is an amazing idea. This is right up there with, the best Trauma or Full Moon releases that you're gonna go watch after you're done listening to this. So let's absolutely do what we can to help in any way. I do not live that far away from you, so if you ever need a pushing 40 bald bearded tattooed guy for anything, don't hesitate to reach out because I don't mind road trips.
Well, actually, there's a scene in the movie that hope you don't mind wearing chains because yeah.
Hey man, I'm down for anything, man. I'm an artist through and through, and I realized that I do enjoy acting in other people's stuff. And I know some people might not like that. You like to have complete control of your vision. I've actually found that when in the minimal times that I've actually been able to help and act in other projects, I quite enjoy it because I am free from that load of being like the one man gang where you're writing, directing, producing, and editing and all of that stuff. So I do quite enjoy helping out in that manner. So for sure, if you ever need some help, I'm right next to Cumberland. I might be a 1 2 hour 3 hour drive at most. So
I will definitely keep that in mind. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. But man, I think we did it. This was fun.
Yeah, no, I love coming on shows like this and talking about movies and all the stuff because a lot of people don't really realize all the things that go into making a movie, and we are a very small fraternity. Even though there's a lot of filmmakers out there, it's still, when you look at it overall, it's a very small fraternity. It's a very small group of people, and not everybody quite understands what we have to go through, what we do, the sacrifices, the intensity, the compromises, everything that we have to do to make our visions come to life. And it's always nice, it's always great to talk to folks who understand that. I can't talk to my coworkers about some of the stuff because they just don't get it. And that's what I love about coming on podcasts and shows and things like that, because I can talk with my peers. I can see their side of things. I can learn from them. And if you ever say you're done learning, you are wrong. You are never done learning, and you can learn so much from so many wonderful people like you guys. And I really appreciate you letting me be on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. Before I let you go, you said earlier you name dropped Dream Warriors, and anytime I have an opportunity to talk about that movie, I do, because it is my favorite of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Something about it connected with me when I was a kid, and I watched the VHS until it quit working. Like, I love that movie. That movie is, when I asked you earlier, like what was your, maybe your inspiration, or that key element that implanted in your brain that someday you're going to make movies. That was it for me. I, to this day, worship that movie.
It is uh, out of the whole Freddy Krueger, whatever you want to call it, collection group films. Uh, Dream Warriors is like, for me, is like Halloween 3. It's just so different than what had come before it. And just the idea that they could actually fight Freddy. Again, that started it really was the start of that feminist wave. Of course, it's been so long. I haven't watched it in a long time. I need to rewatch it, because like the one that was the drug addict who got when his fingers turned into syringes.
Yeah.
That scene just still stays in my mind years later. And I can understand why that was such a big influence for you. Like I said, it's been a long time since I watched it. Now, that we're talking about it, I'm going to have to go back and watch it again. I'm going to have to go get it on streaming and relive it, because, the first one, I'll be honest, the first one never really did it for me, and I kind of skipped, the second one. And then when Dream Warriors came out, I was like, I think I just happened to see it because at the time it was on in the military calls a day room, which is basically a common room, and it was on, and I started watching it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good.
Yeah, the effects in that movie are great, and one that always sat with me, from a visual standpoint, is when he's puppeteering him, and the veins are coming out, and he's like walking up, and then he's up on top of the. So yeah, Dream Warriors, and honestly, equally as good, Dream Master. Man, that's a 1-2 punch for me. Those are like back to back my two favorites of all of them. And obviously, being Dream Master was a direct follow up with similar, like the same characters from the first one. I've been trying to get Kincaid on this show for 2 years. I haven't heard back from him, but like Kincaid from those two movies, man, I love him. But yeah, man, we're hitting an hour and 10 minutes. We'll go ahead and let you go. Like I said, we'll include all of the links and stuff in the show notes, and we'll do what we can to help promote. We have an outro that we like to play. You by no means have to sit through it if you don't want to. But yeah, man, appreciate it. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. I'm pretty much where you see me right now is pretty much where I spend most of my evenings after I spend time with my son.
Awesome. Same. Yeah.
Minus the sun. Well, appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed myself.
Awesome. Man, hit that outro.
The preceding program has been brought to you by the Watchers Podcast Network. If you enjoyed the show, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends to help grow our network. Check us out on all social media platforms, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, thanks for your support.
Did you stop recording this time?
Nope, the meter's still running.
Wait, why did it not stop?
I don't know.